Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Speaker Circle. I am so happy that you guys are a part of the Speaker Circle family, and I'm super excited to bring our monthly discussion to you guys. And so, if you're new to the Speaker Circle, again, thank you for choosing to join us here, where we just share speaking opportunities, and once a month, we bring an expert to you to share and shed light on how you can grow your speaker's business, whether you're just starting out or you're not new to this, you are definitely true to this. So, again, I am so excited to have you here. You are definitely welcome to post opportunities as you see them as well. Definitely welcome to respond to any posts and know that we are all in this together. We are growing together, right? And so I don't want to belabor the time because I'm like dancing in my shoes right now, literally, because y'all, y'all know when I get excited that it's going down. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's definitely going down today. So our guest that we have today is not new to this, all right? Again, like I say, he is in it to win it, and he's definitely winning. And so because he's winning, we want to win too. How you win? How you win though? Okay, so we want to know. And guess what? He came to shed light on that. So I always say, when I say grab your pen, grab your notebook, your phone, whatever you take notes on, trust and believe that you need to do that. Because today we have Brian J. Oates. Yes, that's what I said. We have him here. I ain't playing. You look. You know I don't play. I don't come to play, right? I come to help you expand your speaker business and network. I don't have all the answers. I'm growing too. Look, I got my pen too. Look, I'm not playing. I came to take a seat and learn, okay? So I'm so excited that he is coming here because he is so knowledgeable in what he does. I'm going to read a little bit about his bio because I want you may not know who he is, but go ahead and Google and tell me if I'm lying. Tell me if I'm lying. Look, I'm lying, I'm flying, and I'm not flying. I'm sitting right here ready to take notes, okay? So Brian J. Oates, guess what? He wasn't born a natural enthusiasm for public speaking, but he became a change agent. Yes, he did. What changed him? He's from Baltimore. He's a native from Baltimore. He's just like you and me, right? Something happened that changed him in Toastmasters. That's what changed him, guys. He delivered his first speech at the Morgan State University Toastmaster Club back in 2006. And this was a defining moment for him. Because they didn't just like him, y'all. They loved him. That's how I know y'all gonna love him too. Guess what? He got a standing ovation. They was like, more, more, more. Y'all gonna be saying more too, but look, we only got a limited time, okay? He got things to do. And right now he gonna be on our stage, but he is the cultivator of collaboration. He specializes in empowering rising professional speakers to create clarity, streamline systems. And why is that important? If you ain't got no system, how you making that money? All right. See, look, he got, ooh, when I tell y'all get them pins, when I tell y'all get pins, listen to me, okay? And he has a passion for speaking, diversity, and building relationships. This is what led him to create the Black Speakers Network, BSN. Look it up, Google it, like it, follow it. BSN. 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 Okay, I'm a part. Look, y'all, I'm being serious. I'm a part of that group on Facebook, so follow it, and you'll see why I'm like, I'm geeked up in here today. Okay, now seriously, it is a membership-based professional development and empowerment association. He has over 14K people in his group. Look, you can't look, you got to know something if everybody talking about you and like you got to follow this, you got to be a part of this. So he knows what he's talking about. He not only knows what he's talking about, he does it as well. He has a platform and he helps other people build their platform as well. Okay. And so he also competed in the Toastmaster International Speak contest and competed with over 30,000 participants who competed for a chance to take the worldwide championship. maybe I should do some voiceovers. Okay, this ain't about me. Let me get back focused. But anyway, guess what? He competed against that many people, 30,000, and he came out in the top 100, and he is on our network today. Look, I'm not going to keep going, but I am going to quote one of his favorite quotes by Zig Ziglar, which says, "It's not where you started. It's not where you start, but it's where you finish that counts. It's where you finish that counts." Come on, y'all. So if you new to this, don't worry about you new to this. You starting. If you've been in it, don't worry about how long you've been in it. But we still want to hear your voice. You still have something to say. So without further ado, we know that we are in this virtual world. We're going to show some hearts and some love for Brian. Yay! Get them hearts. Get them smiles. We are so excited to have you here. How you feeling today?
Listen, I'm feeling great now. Even if I wasn't feeling good, that is probably the best introduction I've ever had. I was looking over like, who is she talking about? Like, I'm ready to like learn from this person. So I am so excited to be here. What's going on, Speaker Circle family? And yeah, let's get into it because obviously you all are ready to make waves. So this is very cool. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And so I talked a little bit about your first presentation. So I want to get right into the questions. You said back in 2006, that's when a shift happened for you, when you shared your first presentation in Toastmasters. How did that shift you to being thriving and to building the platform with over 14K members, which is Black Speakers Network? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I really credit that experience to like my introduction into the world of speaking. And I've done a little bit of presentations here and there, but here's what you need to know about me. I always tell people three things. One, I'm a skinny kid from Baltimore. At least I was a skinny kid. I'm like 230 right now, but I'm a skinny kid from Baltimore. My dream initially was to be an aerospace engineer. And so I ended up at Morgan State University. So if you're HBCU, give us a little hashtag.
Yes, this university right here. Yes.
Okay. Listen, you got to represent, and we do everything with a little bit of flavor, a little bit of just a little bit extra. And Morgan State University had one of the top engineering schools in the country for producing Black engineers, and so I was excited to get accepted. And but lo and behold, there was a little class waiting for me called Calculus 2, and I was like, after weeks and weeks of struggling through that thing, I was like, okay, let me just go see what the School of Business is talking about. And I actually changed majors. And so at that point in 2006, when I walked into Toastmasters, I was a shy kid from Baltimore. I was an introvert. I had, basically failed engineering, and now I was kind of lost. And so I wasn't the type of person that was like naturally looking for the spotlight. Some of these speakers are, sometimes speakers have that personality, or we believe, top professional speakers are like extroverted. They like want to be, on stage and just the center of attention. That wasn't me. Like I was perfectly fine sitting in the audience, just listening. But during that time, there was an organization called Toastmasters, which had been around since, early 1900s. Toastmasters has clubs all around the world, hundreds of thousands of members. And so when they were starting a chapter at Morgan, I raised my hand to volunteer. And here's why I raised my hand to volunteer. I thought that, how they always say that everything that you want in life is waiting for you, but it's right outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I saw that for myself. Like I knew that I didn't know, I wasn't trying to be a professional speaker. I wasn't trying to launch something like Black Speakers Network. My whole goal was to look at my personal development and say, hey, here's something that's I feel has been holding me back. So let's get in front of it. And so I did it. And if you're going to do that, for everybody listening, if you're thinking about Toastmasters, it's the perfect place to do it, because instead of speaking in front of 200 people, you're speaking in front of 20 people. Instead of speaking at a place where your job is on the line, you're speaking in a place where nothing is on the line. You're just going to get real feedback from people that care about you. And so I volunteered, raised my hand. And so the first meeting rolled around. And in that summer of 2006, I nervously made my way to the front of the room to deliver my very first presentation in Toastmasters. And, if you were on that first row, you absolutely would have noticed some physical changes take place. You would have noticed my sweaty palms as they struggled to grip my now transparent piece of paper that had all of my notes on it, you would have heard my voice start to crack just under the weight of the pressure of the moment. And if you somehow missed all of that, there was no way you would have missed me almost like, because I'm pacing back and forth trying to get rid of some of that energy. At one point, I almost walk out of the room, and then I got people waving me back into the room. So all this stuff is happening, not to mention on the inside. That was happening on the outside. On the inside, butterflies are flying around. I feel like I'm about to go into some sort of medical emergency, but I make it through the presentation and I didn't die. Everyone was clapping. And I was like, okay, if I can make it through one presentation, I could do two. And two turned into four turned into six. And that eventually was the start of my public speaking life. And then I later on learned that there was a professional speaking world on the other side of that.
That's good. And if you all are listening, I hope you're listening, and I hope that you got that. Like, what's on the other side of your comfort zone? Exactly what you need, exactly what you want. If you're listening today, and especially if you have that fear, go ahead and do it and he found that safe space to start. And sometimes our safe space could just be recording ourselves, sharing it with our friends, getting feedback. What do you need to do to push yourself forward? Because if you're listening to this today, I have a feeling that you have something to share. You have something to say that somebody needs. And so I encourage you, like Mr. O's did, is step outside of your comfort zone. Because look, if he didn't, someone who was scared and sweaty and all that, now leading a group with over 14K, what's on your other side? What is it for you? And so you have created this amazing group connecting people, and you're shifting their experiences, their outcomes. Now, we know that you said that you had this fear of speaking and things of that nature, but what people may not even know is that you also considered yourself an introvert. So that's even beyond just like extroverts can have the fear, right? But you're an introvert too. So what did you do? How did you move past the fear of that and even labeling yourself as an introvert to now you connect people, you build people's platform, you help them do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one thing I would love to do is take an opportunity to shift the narrative around what it means to be an introvert and extrovert, if that's something that may be psychologically holding people back. One thing to know is that most of the world are introverts. However, the world has been built kind of for extroverts. You think about it, you go to work situations, in a lot of cases, if you're not the one speaking up right away, you're perceived as not assertive or, perhaps not a leader. And that's not the case. Like sometimes you just need longer to process information. And so I just want you to know that if you are an introvert, you don't need to change into an extroverted person. In fact, you can't, because that's just kind of how you are. You could be perfectly successful as an introvert. And so really, we're just talking about, where do you get your energy? And I'm just the type of person that, I get my energy, I recharge from, time alone. I take longer to process things. And so, and even today as a speaker, I'm not the type of speaker that could, like, I never had the desire to speak 180 times a year to, fly around. And, I delivered corporate training at one point in my journey. For 2 years, I was delivering 5 days a week presentations from 9 a.m. or facilitated training, I should say, from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday. And at the end of the week, I was absolutely exhausted. I wasn't energized. I wasn't ready to light the world on fire. I was ready to go drink a Slurpee and lay down. That was my idea. And so I just want to let folks know that, it's okay to be an introvert. And there are many, many very successful folks who are kind of fall into that range. Now, in terms of how I was able to push through some of those things in terms of the speaking. Again, I do credit Toastmasters, because what you need to do if you want to be a speaker, the number one thing you have to do is speak. You got to get reps in. Like if you were in a gym, you can't say you're a speaker and never get in front of an audience. You have to get comfortable speaking. And one of the things I liken it to is like when you're first learning to drive. You remember when you first like somebody taught you how to drive and you're sitting in the driver's seat and you're starting to get familiar with the car. So you're like, okay, here's the turn signal, here's the brake, here's the, clutch if you started, on the manual. Like there's all these different buttons and tools to be able to navigate, and you have to learn how to do it one at a time. And so you're learning how to back up, you're learning how to change lanes, you're learning, but then it gets more advanced. So you learn how to drive on a highway, you learn how to drive in the rain and at night and all these other things. Fast forward, most of us 2 years after that, we're like driving with one foot, we're like on the phone, we're eating at the same time. Like there's very little conscious thought going into driving. And for some people, that's a problem because you really should be paying attention. But speaking is the same way. It's a skill. It's like building a muscle. It's a skill. And so you need to get more reps in. You need to get in front of more stages. And there's really only two ways to do that. You can build your own stage, or you can get on somebody else's stage. That's it. Like, and I don't care if it's an in-person stage, like a conference, workshop, a seminar. I don't care if it's a virtual stage, like a webinar, virtual conference, a virtual summit, a podcast, whatever. Like you need to get more reps in order to grow. That's part of it. And then the other part is you also, especially if you're new, need feedback. And so that's where communities like Black Speakers Network, that's where speaker growth platforms like Toastmasters come into play. But you need to be speaking more and you need to be getting better as you speak. And so that's kind of what I did for years. I mean, I would drive on my lunch break, even after I graduated from Morgan State University, made it into corporate, I would still drive back on my lunch break to come participate in Toastmasters because one, I enjoyed it, but two, I really wanted to continue to, like, every single week I needed to be speaking and I need to be pushing the my edge of confidence up. So
that is so good. And anything that you want, you have to work hard at it. And how do you become a master at something? How do you become better if you're not taking time and spending time with it? I mean, you have to build that relationship, honey. That relationship is not going to build on its own. So you got to spend time with building the craft of speaking. And so that's exactly what you did. And that's why I'm hoping that everybody is getting out of this. I don't care if you've been speaking for a while. I don't care if you're new to this. It's important. If this is a craft that you have, if this is something that you're seeking after, what are you doing to build it? What are you doing to become better at it? And everyone, and I've said this before, even if Oprah says she has mentors and she invests in becoming better, who are we not to say, you know what? Yeah, I might have been doing this, but I want to become better. There's nothing wrong with wanting to become better and doing that which it takes to become better. So thank you so much. And so today we called this Your Audience Awaits because you have a whole presentation about your audience awaits. And so how did you know who your audience was? How did you figure that out? And what tips, because people listening, sometimes they might not know what their niche is, or they might not know who their audience is. They might not feel like they even have an audience. And something earlier you just said too is that you did presentations to the corporate world. So there's different ways that you can speak, and there's different audience that you may have. What tips would you share to help those kind of decide or figure out who their audience might be?
Yeah, so I think there's two sides to the conversation. I think the one side is figuring out really at the highest level, what is going to be your contribution to the world? Like, what is your like legacy play? Because there's a lot of things like we can chase for like money, or because it's hot right now, or because somebody else told us to do it. But I think there's always this combination of looking internally and seeing like what's inside of yourself and what are the things that really, really resonate with you. And then there's an external work and scanning the marketplace and looking around and asking the question, what is it that people actually need? And we have a really simple model to do that within Black Speakers Network, and it's called the Speaker Sweet Spot model. And so if you could picture 3 circles, remember in school how you had the like Venn diagrams, you had like circle and then the other circle that intersects and there's like a circle in between. So it's kind of like that, but instead of 2 circles, there are 3, and they intersect in the middle to form what we call the sweet spot. And so the three areas that I encourage people to look at to find their speaker sweet spot is, number one, your passion. That's the thing that you really, really cannot shut up about. Like, people, people are hanging up on you. Like, you're up late at night listening to YouTube videos, you're writing blogs or listening to blogs. Like, the thing that you absolutely love, not just now because it's a fad or a tide or somebody told you about it, but really even going back to childhood in some cases. Like, what are the things that like light you up? For me, I mentioned engineering because my love and my passion for aerospace, for aeronautics, like if it flies and it has an engine, like I want to talk about it. Like, I'm into like electric vehicles, I'm into technology. And so I thought that my path to do that was to be an engineer. I was wrong, but I am still, an investor in technology. I still, we have an entire STEM focus area within Black Speakers Network. I still speak at technology conferences and stuff like that. So you got to figure out your passion. The second area you have to figure out is your expertise. And so this is where you have a specific skill and an area of knowledge that you are better than most other people. And these are things that, come easily for you. So some of you are really great writers. Some of you are just super creative. Like, you can come up with ideas really quickly. Some of you are great at providing perspective for other people, or, you've gone through like a weight loss or fitness journey, or you're gifted in seeing the how to help people repair their relationships. Like, whatever that is, there's something in your wheelhouse that you have done in your life that is going to be valuable to others, or you've already helped other people kind of go through that process. And so you have to think about, what is your area of expertise? In my particular case, coming from this unique combination of being in Toastmasters, going to a HBCU, and seeing how Black speakers, there's a gap in the marketplace for all speakers of color, honestly, as well as but particularly Black speakers. And in corporate, I ended up doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work. There's this intersection of these three areas where I'm like, okay, I think there's an opportunity here, and there's an unmet need. And that leads me to the third circle. So we talked about passion, we talked about knowing your expertise, and then the third circle is identifying market demand. Market demand is, what are people out here? What do people really need? And to be honest, there may be things that people need, but the second part of that question is, what do they need and they are willing and able to pay for? So it's like, they have the capacity to pay for it, and it's a big enough problem where they're like, yeah, I'm going to put some money behind this. And so, if it's weight loss, some people, they may need to lose weight, but they're not going to until they hit like a specific point. Some people are going to go to marriage counseling until they hit like a certain point. Some people aren't going to, buy, technology or see a doctor or any of those things until they hit a certain point that's associated with pain that's going to trigger that experience. And so you have to think about all three of those things, and that will help you not only find your topic, but also really start to think about, like, who are not just the people in the world. Because I think a lot of times we say, oh, well, I'm going to serve women, for example. And guess what? There are approximately 7 billion people on the planet. Approximately half of them are women. So you're not going to serve 3 billion people. You may be able to serve 3,000, possibly, if you have the right systems. You may be able to serve 30,000 if you have a really, really great system. But you're not going to serve 3 billion. So you have to think about, okay, so if I'm going to serve, let's say, like even 300 women, what are the commonalities that bring them together? Like, what is the passion? What is the area of expertise? And what is the pain that's big enough in their life that intersects with your expertise, that you can be like, you know what, I'm going to help these school teachers, let's say women school teachers who have at least 2 years of experience, and they may be frustrated, in their profession, and they're brilliant at teaching, but they haven't realized how to, capture their own voice in a really compelling way. And so now, if you're doing that, or if you're going to help teachers, master e-learning or something like that, that's a niche. that's something that's small enough for you to serve and stand out from everybody else, but not so broad that people end up ignoring you because it just sounds like, you're talking to anybody.
That is so good. And so as I'm listening to you and as I'm thinking about those that may hear your message today, I want to just encourage everyone that you have it. It's already in you. Just take the time out to figure out what is your passion. Align that with your expertise and now look at the needs. So everything you have is what you need to do, what you have to do. And then sometimes we just have to align to people like you, Mr. Oates, to help us refine that or to sign up and get into some system to help us get that together. But I want us all to hear this, that you have it. You already have it. So take the time out to discover what that may be. So with you being in a position with working with thousands of speakers, what is the number? Because you've worked with so many people, so you may be able to help us understand this. What have you seen or noticed is the number one thing that kind of holds them back to moving or pushing forward or getting to that next level?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a challenging question because everybody's perception of what it means to be a professional speaker is a little bit different. Some speakers just like their goal is just to get in front of like more audiences. And then they're like, okay, well, how do I make money? And then it's like, okay, I've made some money, but like now how do I now make an impact? And so I think it really depends on kind of where folks are. And for us, everything we do is like breaks down a model. So we have, really three ways of looking at our audience. We have like folks who kind of would self-identify as newer / aspiring speakers. And so those are folks who are just kind of getting started and trying to figure out that speaker sweet spot and all of that. There's a audience of people who are like emerging speakers, and these are individuals who have already been speaking for a little while. They have a healthy sense of who their target audience is. However, they may not have really built out the business model of how to actually go about, creating value that they could, kind of build a full-time business off of, but they've already started that process. They may have written a book, they may have programs, etc., but they haven't maximized it. And then the third audience of people are individuals who are what we call like seasoned speakers. So these are folks that have been in the game like 10 plus years. They built a really, really big brand and they really know what they're doing. And now they're looking for kind of those next level. They're like trying to get on TV and build like 6-figure brand deals and stuff like that. And so depending on where they are in that continuum is going to kind of drive like some of the mistakes that we see. But, talking to that first group of new and aspiring speakers for a moment, I think some of the biggest challenges that we see there is just like lack of clarity, because a lot of times, speakers will attempt to mimic what they see in the marketplace. And so if you grew up listening to like Les Brown, or you really love Eric Thomas or Lisa Nichols or any of these other people who are objectively really, really great, but they are in the seasoned category. They've been doing this for 10 years. And the things that they are doing now to build their business, holding like massive events and, stuff like that, like those aren't the activities that you need to be doing at the level in which you are. Like you need to kind of run your own race. And from an authenticity perspective, you also need to find your own voice, which is why I think Black Speakers Network is so good, because we do two things. We help you find other stages, and we create stages for you to actually, start to find your voice there. And so you need to have clarity and feel confident about not trying to be anybody else, but be the best version that you are and finding your own tribe. And so I think that's a big mistake we see people make. And you can kind of spin your wheels a little bit, because you'd be like, oh, well, this person ran Facebook ads like this, so I'm gonna just run Facebook ads. Or this person had this massive event, so I'm gonna throw my massive event. And it doesn't work because, it's not what you need to be doing at the time. And so I think, taking the time, as you mentioned, to get really, really clear on, your passion, expertise in the market that you're going to serve will really, really help you out. And then just being willing to bring all that authentic things some of which you may have been trying to suppress your entire life because, you know, some of us may have grown up hearing that, oh, you know, you have an accent, or, oh, well, you, some people have been accused of like sounding white and like all these other like things that have been programmed into us. And so we don't want people to see fully like who we are. And I think the closer that you get to actually allowing your audience to see more of who you actually are through your content and through the transformation that you provide, will actually do more to help you connect and build a bigger brand ultimately.
That, man, you said a mouthful, and you keep going back to that sweet spot. You making me hungry. I'm thinking about my sweet spot right now too. But seriously, you are amazing. You are sharing great nuggets. I hope you guys are taking good notes. And at the end, we're going to make sure that people are able to connect to you. Those that are looking to just keep refining their craft, because you're sharing such good things. Like right now, if they're getting something, imagine if you took time to invest in that what you're trying to grow. So in order to get where you're going right now, what are some things, or did you have to leave anything behind or let go of anything?
Yeah, all the time. I think so. My journey, I'm a little bit of. I actually heard a really disrespectful term a couple of days ago. It was called, because you know how we talk about these different generations. So you have, you know, baby boomers, you have the Gen X, you have millennials, and now Gen Z who are coming into the workplace. One of the journalists called the older millennials. So these are people who are kind of like in their like, you know, late 30s, early 40s, who are still millennials. They were born like 1982 and beyond. She called them geriatric millennials. And I was like, that is disrespectful, but we're just going to go with it for now. Yeah. So as an older millennial, I'll say, here's what I've experienced. We have, I graduated. So I spent 11 years. I left Morgan State University. I went to work for a global staffing recruiting agency and learned a lot. Most people in our age kind of group change jobs on average, you know, every 18 to 24 months. You know, I stayed with one company for 11 years. It was my first professional job out of college, and I held a number of different positions, but I was in one company for 11 years. And so I know how many times I've driven into that parking lot. I know how many times I've like, you know, sat in traffic. Like, it was a lot. So through that process, though, I started Black Speakers Network in 2006. And so it was something where I had a lot of time being a parallelpreneur and really coming home in the evening at 8 o'clock, tired, trying to find dinner, and then using like basically 9 p.m. to 12 midnight as like my primetime business hours. And then on Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday, that's where I literally built BSN. And so if we were holding events, if we're doing webinars, if we're doing product creation, if I'm making digital products, it was going to be in that time period. And so at a point, I left my full-time job in 2019. And the goal around that originally was, hey, you know, I'm going to, you know, get 6 months expenses in the bank. I'm going to like pay off all of my student loans. I'm going to find this awesome like external healthcare plan. I ain't do none of that. But what I recognize is that for those of you who are kind of in this place of like, yeah, I want to transition to like building a full-time business, or, you know, just, you know, kind of make the proverbial leap. These are the things that, you know, they say you should have. But, you know, what we did have is, you know, month over month, like reoccurring revenue. What we did have was a solid strategy. And that was the year that we wrote the book. Behind me, Speak Up, the Ultimate Guide to Dominate Your Speaking Industry, was designed to be kind of like our flagship product with like our signature methodology. And that came out in 2019. And so I had a choice. I could go around the country, you know, promoting this book and put my best foot forward, or I could continue what I was doing, which, you know, would have been fine. But there's a concept in economics called opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost of anything is essentially what is the value of the thing that you're giving up in exchange for the thing that you decide to do. And so in my particular case, the opportunity cost of staying in a full-time working capacity versus, deciding to build BSN full-time, the opportunity cost is whatever amount of money, business relationships I would have made, not to mention, whatever stress or whatever that was released from coming from that would have produced additional like value for myself. Whatever that number is what the cost would be. And so if you make, let's say, $100,000 in a full-time job, but you could in that same amount of time for yourself be making, let's just for example, let's say $200,000, then you have an opportunity cost of $100,000, and it's up to you if you're willing to bet on yourself to reconcile that and decide to take it the other way. And so I made that decision, and so I left behind a decade of relationships and people, but it was a good experience for me because on April 12th, 2019 at 5:38 p.m. Give or take Eastern Standard Time, when I decided to, make my final exit from corporate, and I packed up all of my stuff. And as the building started to slowly fade in the rearview window for the last time of my company that I've driven into for 11 years, the reality was, I was driving away from that and driving into a new world of full-time entrepreneurship. And now there's no room for excuses. There's no room for, whatever. But the opportunity that's there is limitless. And so that's where we're operating now.
That is so inspiring. Count the cost, people. Count the cost and bet on yourself. That was good, Mr. Owens. You're talking up in here today. I hope you guys are getting something out of this. I know that I really am, and we're getting close to our wrap-up time, but I do want to ask just a few more questions. With now you transitioning into speaking and transitioning into full-time your own business, can you share with us one thing that has happened that literally blew your mind? Like you were just like, wow, I can't believe this.
Yeah. So continuing that story, I mean, even just that year, so I had this theory. It was called Tuesdays at 10 because my highest value right now is freedom. I want to be able to control, what I do when I wake up, who I'm going to work with, what I say yes and what I say no to, what part of the world I want to live in. I have this campaign right now called 50 by 50. So I have a goal of seeing 50% of the countries on the planet by the age of 50. So that's about 6 or 7 countries per year in order to keep pace with that. So there's all these different things. So I really, really value freedom. The Monday after I left corporate, I had this a meeting, and it was like with my accountant. It was on Monday morning, and then I had a breakfast on Tuesday. And so I had my code name for like leaving was this thing called Tuesdays at 10, because I had this theory that on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. was kind of like prime time for like doing stuff that like I wanted to do. And so it's kind of like, if you ever have been in like a Target on a Saturday morning at like, or like, let's say Saturday midday, like at 1, it is the complete opposite of Tuesday morning at like 10 o'clock. And so just being able to have the freedom and flexibility to do that, or have coffee with a friend, or to work out, or to create, or to do absolutely nothing, is one of the biggest wins for me from a personal perspective. Mental health is really big for me. Making sure that you have the space to be able to creatively serve and show up in a way that feels like really authentic and connected to the things that you care about is really important. And so, I mean, we could talk about like financial success. Like, yes, we've, hit We've hit multiple six figures. We've, grown from a team of me in the basement by myself to like having a team of like 11 people around the world. We have an amazing community of 14,000 folks. We're in 35 different countries. Like, we've won awards. So all of that stuff is awesome, and I don't take anything away from it. But to me, the biggest win is the freedom, the control, and the peace of mind that comes along with, hey, like, if I want to make more money, or if I need to make more money, there's a simple solution to that. You go out and you serve more people, or you take the existing people that you serve and you create more value for those individuals. At work, in a corporation, nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make more money in a career, you need to wait to the end of the year or your next like performance review, or you need to jockey potentially politically to get to like a higher position or get promoted, do a good job, or you need to change companies. And all of that takes like, maneuvering, and there's, really, really smart ways to do it. But like, I wasn't interested in that. Like, what I'm interested in is finding like 1,000 people who want to, go out and impact like 1 million people. And I want to do retreats around the world, like the one in Jamaica we have coming up in January for BSN. I want to be around the fire pit, eating great food, talking about the future, thinking about ways to continue to be able to serve the audience that we're called to. And I want to, ride go-karts, like all the fun stuff that comes along with that. So that's my thing. And I think when you bet on yourself, when you are just like, okay, rest of the world is going this way, but I'm going to go this way. And you decide to fully commit to not the way that something's going to get done, but if something's going to get done, because the tactics might change, but if the end goal and the vision is the same, then the people, the resources, the technology, the not like whatever it is that you need to get there, it will come, and then you just put in the work to get there. And so I think it's possible for everybody. But for me, the biggest thing was Tuesday at 10 o'clock a.m. I have the ability to choose if I'm going to be at Target, if I'm going to be asleep, if I'm going to be at the gym, if I'm going to be on a webinar like this. Like, I have that choice. And to me, like, freedom is the most expensive thing you could purchase for yourself, but it is the absolute biggest investment that you can make too.
Wow, that is powerful. What is your vision for yourself, audience? What do you see yourself? What is that core value? We see Mr. O's, his is freedom. What is your core value? And don't get so caught up in the how, right? And the steps that will come, or it may change. But the vision, when you hold true to that won't change. This was really, really good. And so, last two questions. You've shared so much advice with us today. What is the best advice that you were ever given that really stuck with you or really shift things for you?
I've had so many great kind of like mentors, both people that didn't even know they were my mentors, that were my mentors, people you listen to on like podcasts and, webinars and stuff like that. But, some of the best advice I got like early on kind of relates to like this conversation around, because even though we're speakers, like the broader industry that we're kind of in is this industry of like information marketing. And so if you're, speaking from stage, writing, creating courses, digital content, if you are coaching, consulting, creating memberships, like it's all in a place where fundamentally you're taking information like out of your head, packaging it into a program and delivering it to people in a way that they can then digest to solve a specific problem in their life. That is like information marketing, and that's what we do. So the best advice that I got that directly helped me kind of build this business was from my friend Jonathan Pasley very, very early on. And he said, yo, you got to repackage. It's like the 3 R's. So like repackage, repurpose, and repeat. And sorry about that. So repackage. I was like, maybe that's him calling me now. But repackage, repurpose, and repeat. So you take, most of us have all this information, and I think as speakers, as authors, like anybody in the information marketing world, we think that, we always have to be coming up with new content. And we do have to come up with content, but we always don't have to like recreate the wheel. And so many of us right now are sitting on so much content. Like we've created programs for our jobs or for our audience. We have blog posts, we have social media content like that could be translated into the articles. Those articles then become books. The books become ebooks. The ebooks become like courses. The courses become masterclass. The masterclass become, BIP days. The whole all of the content then becomes like a membership like community. The membership community becomes like a mastermind community. Like there are 20 different ways that we teach to monetize your message. And so my biggest thing there is just to take what you have and then repackage, repurpose, and repeat the process, because a lot of times we have a lot more in our wheelhouse than we think we do. You can always rely on partnerships to fill the gap, which is what we've done at BSN through our platform partner program. Like I was not the end all be all expert on speaking, nor do I want to be. Like I am not trying to be like, hey, I am the guru of come to me to build this. No, like I don't care about that. I just want to build the road. And yes, the road is going to have a toll booth. You got to pay to go to through the tunnel or whatever. But I'm going to build the road and expand the road so more people can drive down it. And if you can do that, then you can have a business.
That's good. Let's y'all show them hearts, give some love. He kept it real with us today. He poured out. He gave that knowledge. I told you guys. You see why I don't lie when I'm excited. It's a reason why I be excited. I am so grateful for you today. And so in closing, if there's any last word you want to say, please say that. But most importantly, let us know how we can connect to you. Let us know what services you provide, so that if someone is listening today and they say, look, Mr. Oates, I need exactly what you have. I want to go through that down that road, pay that fee, because I'm ready to build my craft. I'm ready to get to that next level. I'm ready to see that which I envision for myself. So let us know how we can connect with you, or any last advice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So connecting with us is easy. I mean, Black Speakers Network, I mean, literally you could type it into Google. We will be the #1 search result. So I encourage you to do that. To find us, we of course are at blackspeakersnetwork.com to learn more information, and we're Black Speakers Network on all the social media platforms as well. We do 3 things for speakers. If you are current, aspiring, emerging, or seasoned speaker, we are here to ensure that you can connect with your audience you're called to serve. The episode is called Your Audience Awaits. And it is. Like, there are people out there right now that are in pain. There are people out here right now that are confused. There are people out here that are being underpaid, and people who are being undervalued, and they will not step up until they hear from you. Like, they don't care what I have to say. They don't care what you have to say. They don't care what Les or any of these other great, amazing speakers. Like, they need to hear you, because it's your unique combination of experience and insight and personality and quirkiness and whatever it is that you bring to the table. You are going to be the difference between whether they move or not. And so if you're looking for a place to help accelerate your ability to connect with that audience, if you're looking for a place to learn the skills, the techniques of what it takes to, kind of package your message and take it to the next level, then, I invite you to consider joining Black Speakers Network, because that's what we do. We help put you on more stages, and we help give you the confidence and the tools to create your own stage. And between those 2 things, you should be able to, for most people, you can build a 6-figure business and beyond, just doing the things that you already love, the things that you're good at, and the things that people are asking for, and really operating in your sweet spot. And so if that is you, I invite you to check it out. When you actually get to blackspeakersnetwork.com, there's a link that says join. And then you can read all about what it takes to be a BSN Premium member. We have lots of speaking opportunities coming out every single week. And so just send me a note and say, hey, you heard about us here in the Speaker Circle, and I'll make sure that you get like first dibs for the speaking opportunities that we have coming out when this is released in November. So I am so excited to connect and learn. And, you know, if you need anything from me or my community, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much. Y'all see, look, he gave a little sweet spot with that. You know, he said he gonna look out for you. Come on now, y'all better hear him and hear him well. Go on head over to that. Again, Mr. Oates, we just thank you. I am so honored that you stopped through today on this platform here to share with people. I'm grateful. I learned. I feel like I'm better because of this conversation. So again, I say thank you. Let me say goodbye to the audience. We'll see you in one moment, all right? So you guys, I told you that it was going to be good. I hope that you really enjoyed what we talked about today. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you know. Most importantly, I hope that you say yes to what is calling you to greater. Remember, you have a voice. And I love what he just said, that some people are waiting and will only hear your voice. So again, I say thank you. And until then, we will see you next month.